Welcome everybody to the Alternative Sports Show powered by Verge Magazine. It's me, Matthew Connell, rounding up the year with Andre Dixon, and we are coming to a close. It's the end of the year and everyone is getting ready. We got Jamie Jamboo Rigdon in the room. Good sir. A man who is an absolute killer on a console when it comes to FIFA. How are you, dude?
I'm really good, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for giving us the time, of course. In this crazy Zoom world, we are meeting all kinds of interesting people from all kinds of different backgrounds. And thanks to the Premier League and EA Sports, we are getting everyone excited for the ePremier League 2021 season, which, of course, you are a part of. Now, of course, you have, on Xbox, been representing teams. You've been doing your thing in FIFA. If they haven't seen your YouTube channel as well, do your research, go and have a look. This guy is like, I think this is what's really interesting in the rise of the e-gamer. There's an amazing amount of talent playing FIFA. And, I think this year, this time round, fans are going to be able to put their money where their mouths is, because the average Joe, I like to think of myself as the average Joe, can sign up and play against the pros, the people that can do it. And yourself, Jamboo, you have won tournaments. You have done it all, mate. You have certainly, I wouldn't have a chance. What is going down? Can you tell me how you're going to be involved and what is at stake?
Yeah, so it's the new season of the ePremier League. You can basically just sign up through the Premier League website. Anyone is able to give it a go, as you say. So literally just sign up through the Premier League website. I think the total prize pool for this year's one is 40 or 50 grand. It's one of the
There
two.
you go.
I think. Yeah.
See, this is it. Wow.
Pick the club, obviously, that you want to represent, and just play against the best. See how you do. And yeah, it's good to have a UK-based sort of tournament for us, because that's something that we didn't have for a number of years, whereas some of the other European countries did. So it's obviously great that the Premier League got involved.
Well, this is exciting times. I think, Dre, you could probably count yourself out of the 40 Gs, my friend. I mean, I can't claim to be the best FIFA player up in this room. Absolutely not. Andre, we've had a few head-to-heads, and I know for sure that maybe the 40 Gs is out of reach for you, even if you were Liverpool. Even if you were Liverpool.
You could give me my team, and I'm still not good enough to be able to compete against you guys in any form of way. It's definitely something that is. I never thought that would something like this. You'll be able to win this type of money for playing games a little while ago. So much has changed. It's become like a real profession. But I mean, how did you get into it in the first place?
I think in terms of gaming, it's just something that. Like gaming is something I just always did. So I think like the earliest memory, like I got a PS1 when I was like a few years old. So I think I've just always been gaming, but I think naturally I'm quite a competitive person. So when I'm playing these, games, I always want to be the best and I don't like losing. So I think naturally with FIFA, it was just sort of like, I don't know, I must have had some sort of natural talent, but playing it a lot and the will to just want to win and not lose, I ended up where I am today, I guess.
It's one of those really interesting things. It's like, I feel like we're in the same boat. Like I'm a massive lover of game. Like I'm obsessed. Me and my little bro growing up. But then there is a level of like eliteness when those guys are absolute shredders when it comes to playing, especially when it's FIFA. It gets complete competitive. And I've sat in rooms, I've been to FIFA events before and whatnot, and seen the standard. And even when like we've seen like even the pro ballers that have been playing with the pro gamers, it's very competitive. And there's a lot of gamers get the upper hand. There's a lot of pros that get the upper hand. And I think what's interesting as well is like we've all got to come, especially for the gaming community, you got to come from somewhere or nowhere. If you're not a pro baller, how do you know you're going to be any good? That's why you get into the tournament and taking guys like yourself, Jamboo. This is it. This is their opportunity to face up. So for this tournament, who are you going to be playing as this year?
I'm going to be representing Fulham this year, which is a change from the previous 2 years.
Absolutely.
No particular reason, to be honest, other than I just fancy the change. And yeah,
Well, that's the exciting
that's
thing. That's the exciting thing, bro. Because the thing is, as well, it's like you can. I think that's such a fun thing. Like when you play with your friends, it's like this is part of the argument. This is part of the discussion. You say, "Oh, you're getting away with it because I know if Joe was playing, he'd be pegging it on the feet of Salah, and he'd be doing it. The dribbles would be coming down that channel non-stop." But I think like this is the thing. The great thing about Fulham as well, the player wise, it's competitive. There is pace in there. Outstanding goalkeeper Alfonso Areola, who I've been so lucky when I've been working back in the day when I used to do work at PSG. I used to see this guy in the training ground. Absolutely awesome goalkeeper. He's French, but also representing Team Philippines. So I'm all about that. There's a lot of pace up in there. Mitrovic, of course, lethal up at front. So look, mate, I don't think we got to worry. I feel there's pace. Lookman as well, absolute shredder. But for yourself, Jamboo, like a couple of fundamentals. What's the checklist you going into gameplay without giving away too much of the tactics and techniques going into this?
Well, with the beauty of this, you talk about like the players Fulham have and stuff. There's a way, like a mode that they've introduced, which makes it an even playing field. It's called an 85 rated mode.
Yes, of course.
So Lookman, for example, will be no different to Salah in game. Everyone's even. So that if you pick a team lower down and someone else is
Exactly.
Liverpool, you're not going to be at a disadvantage.
And this is what's important because, of
That,
course,
that is amazing.
But this is the thing. This is what has been happening in the previous tournaments. So for the casuals, of course, like you can have your say of your friends, but in this tournament, like you said rightly, there is going to be that skill cap, which is great. It makes it more competitive. And for yourself, like as a man of the Premier League and FIFA world, what can you do to get yourself ready for this and get yourself get that muscle memory going? Could you, for example, if I said to you, hey, you can jump into this tournament tomorrow, are you set, or is there more to it than meets the eye?
I think for me personally, like before a tournament, like lots of pros do like practice in different ways. For me, what I tend to do is, just day to day, if we've not got tournaments coming up, I try my best to not sort of burn myself out with it. But when I
Smart.
know I've got a tournament coming up, so say if the ePremier League was next weekend, I would spend the whole week, like all day, every day until that, just grinding the game to get warm. And then as soon as the tournament's done, I have a break. So I just sort of almost do like a little training camp for myself before these events rather than the whole year just flat out, if that makes sense.
So does it actually get do you feel the actual wear and tear mentally of competing, because it actually, although it's a game, it actually must get stressful because obviously you're competing as well, you get emotionally involved in the game.
It is like even though like it's FIFA and gaming, like you say, because you're competing and especially at the highest level, like you're having to think and use your brain a lot, like every single decision you make in that 20-minute game could be the difference between, winning thousands or not. So if you're playing, pro practice games all day, every day, it's obviously going to take a toll mentally. Like, you're going to feel tired. So I think it's just about balancing it, and just like anything else, really, you can't just overdo it. You got to just practice in the right way.
So give me your pre-match ritual. Obviously, the professionals. Some people come out last. Some people, like Daniel Sturridge, used to come out and point to the sky or walk on the pitch backwards. So, what is your pre-match ritual that you have? I know you have something.
I don't know whether this is a ritual, but so before like a big game, my ritual basically is I do nothing. I just sit there and think about the game. Like I'll just sit there and just almost, what's the word where I'm trying to like think something into happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. You kind of the approach. It's almost like a methodical approach. You're kind of visualizing
Is it like manifesting?
Manifesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of just sit there and think about like how I'm going to win the game in my head and just try and play it out like that. It's a bit weird to explain, but yeah.
No, it makes sense because that's, this is the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what game you play, FIFA, whatnot. Like, I understand. Like, I've been on like in this lockdown, amount of getting very serious and overexcited, playing my friends, being over competitive. Of course, like it's you, especially what's at stake. You are, competing on FIFA, EA Sports, Premier League. This is a big deal. I think majority of consumers of digital media content now understand what this industry means and how important it is. But of course, it's still, like Dre said, it's competitive. And I remember when I was doing sports and I was growing up, I would try and do the same to very little success, albeit I would be listening to music, but would you replace scenarios in your head? Like, what would I do if I get into this situation?
Yeah.
And what do I do? It's like in FIFA, if you're at the edge of the box, do you gamble and think, right, I'm just going to go for that shot? Or do I spread it? Or am I doing fast passes into the box? So there's a range of options that can get you into there. But, this is the thing with yourself and with Fulham, of course, there are endless opportunities to fly the flag and represent. I hope you make sure you start Jamboo Anguissa. He's a great footballer that I worked with before. I went to Cameroon with him and made a documentary. So since he's come back into the squad, big up. He's doing it, of course. This is the thing. You're representing Fulham. You're representing Scott Parker's men. One question I wanted to ask about going into this tournament, because of course all the rage this time of the year has been consoles. Yourself being an Xbox player, for those that don't understand maybe so much the tournament process, when it comes to the consoles, what are they going to be using? Are you going to be using the last generation consoles? When at some point, if anything, do this current generation consoles like the Xbox X, PS5 come into play?
So the ePremier League tournament, you have the choice between Xbox and PS. Obviously, right now you have the old generation and the new generation of FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe this tournament's going to be played on the old generation, but you can play that on your new console. So it doesn't matter which console you have, you can get involved in the ePremier League.
Got you. And again, with the controller, I was going to just ask, like, so, like, of course, like, is there any rules as far as, because, like, sometimes people will have, like, on the thumbsticks, like, extra little mods and stuff. Are there any rules that go into that? Or is it like, as long as you're comfortable with what you have in your hands, are there any rules in and around that?
As far as I'm aware, you're able to sort of, do as you please. I know that in some pro tournaments before that have like been on the PlayStation, for example, you've had like Xbox pros that have played, and you can get like a PlayStation controller that's molded into the shape of an Xbox one. So people do all sorts of stuff like that, to be comfortable.
Well, there you go.
Right, I'm going to ask this, and I want you to come up with a true answer.
Okay.
Right, so you're allowed to pick any player to transfer into your team, to just drop him into your team. Any player, who's that? Who's your favorite player to play with, and then two, who would you choose?
Premier League or anyone?
Any player.
Any player. For FIFA, I'd pick R9 Ronaldo, the icon, because he's just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. In terms of who I like in real life, I'm a big Messi fanboy, but they've sort of slowed him down on FIFA a bit now. He's not what he was, but he's still obviously very good. If I had to pick one player, it'd be R9.
Yeah. You see, where you went wrong is that you're supposed to pick. I've been hinting at this the whole time. You could have picked any of my team, especially after that display of the weekend. I thought you would be chomping at the bit to get Mane or Salah or Bobby Firmino in your team. So I expect to see that when I see that you playing at some point using my team.
Mane's very good on the game.
That's what I'm talking about. You see, now we're friends.
This is it. See, I know, Dre. He like with me, like we always have things when we do our shows. We always have our personal things to get in there. Whether it's Liverpool, I'm a Portsmouth fan, so it's very, very difficult to get any love out of that team. So maybe in the future we'll get there. But as we draw to a close, Jamboo, what is now the next steps for you? What's the process going into this? How do you ride down into this tournament and get yourself set? What's the roadmap going in from now?
I mean, obviously, the first thing we've got to do in the tournament is like the pre-qualifying group stage. So for that, I believe it's like the top 16 on each console. So I mean, I'm that's what anyone can enter as well. So obviously, I'm fairly confident, I can get through that, and then the focus will be turning on to the actual qualifying, which will be the top players. Trying to make it to the later stages of the actual tournament. I think for me, it's just like I said to you, in terms of prep, it will be taking it as easy as I can, reasonable practice, and then sort of the build up to the tournament. I'll be really smashing out the game.
Well, mate, I feel like there's without a doubt, as you are our premier and first e-gaming guest from the world of FIFA,
Privilege.
there's only one person that we have got to support. It's Jamboo. It's got to be Jamie, guys. We've got to get on that train. We've got to support Fulham. Actually, cool fact, Fulham Football Club was the first football team many years ago that I had ever worked with. They were the very, very first football club I had dealt with back in the day when, goodness me, we were doing a lot of crazy content up with them. So I got a lot of love for Fulham, and I got a lot of love for you, buddy. We're going to be hoping and supporting that you get through this. We're going to do one better. So make sure everybody that you get on this, the Premier League EA Sports tournament on FIFA, ePremier League 2021 is amongst us. It's coming up to us. Got a few key dates for you lot to look out for. Registration is open up till the 15th of Jan. So get up there. No excuse. You got plenty of time to get on that. Online qualification is on the 4th to the 31st of Jan. So that's where you are going to be able to show what it's all about. Club playoffs are going to be the Feb 15th to the 3rd of March. And live finals, TBC, April and March. You are going to find out. And if you don't know, just head over to the ePremier League website or just hit up a bit of Google. It's not really that hard anymore. We can find information wherever we want. And if it's not on Verge Magazine, if it's not through Alternative Sport, if it's not through Jamboo and the social channels, just hit up the old search engine. Jamie, thank you so much, mate, for chatting to us about the thing that we love the most. I'm infused because this is it. Joe knows me. I'm just sitting on my PS5. That's all I've got now for Christmas, being in a tier 4 London situation. So this is it, mate. Riding off to the sunset. I'm going to get my practice in. I'll see if I'm good enough. But appreciate your time. Good luck, and we shall see you next time.
Oh, thank you for having me on, guys. I look forward to it.